meeting to order. But before we start, I just want to welcome everybody that's here. It's great to see such a turnout like this in support of the community. And we're here to have dialogue, to listen to what everybody has to say. So before we get into the meeting, on the agenda we have some light items that council has to get through here. It's going to be real quick, and then we're going to get right to public participation. So for council, item A, we need to approve or amend the council minutes of February 2nd, 2026. Any discussion there? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve. Kevin, seconded by Mike. Aaron, yes. Chad, yes. Carla, yes. Gary, yes. Mike, yes. And Kevin. Yes. Item B, we got to approve bills and payroll in the amount of $364,407.27, and we also have the January 2026 financials, which I'm sure everybody's had a chance to look over. Any questions or concerns there? I'll ask for a motion to approve. Chad, seconded by Gary. Carla, yes. Gary, yes. Mike, yes. Kevin, yes. Aaron, yes. And Chad. Yes. Item C, we got the committee and board and department report. So item A, we got the January 2026 police report. Item B, we got the January 2026 fire and EMS report. And item C, we got the 2026 fleet report. So any questions there? Discussion? Okay, we're going to move right on. So the next item, of course, is item D, public participation. And this is for you folks. I'd just like to start out with a few comments before we get going. And as this meeting proceeds, we have a microphone set up over here. So if any of you folks want to talk or address council, myself, or administration, just raise your hand, and we're going to have you come up here to the microphone. It's to my right at the end of the table here, and you can address council, and then this way the audience can hear kind of what's on everybody's mind and what's going on. So again, welcome everybody. We know that there's been a lot of speculation, discussion on the street, social media concerning what I really want to call a non-proposed data center. I want to make it very clear that we have not specifically been contacted about a data center coming into the community. Now that's not to say that they're having discussions with other people about it, but for us up here, it just not has happened. Nor has there been a request to annex any parcels of land from German Township. So the land that we're talking about lies specifically in the German Township, the land that is being purchased east of town here. We're not aware, we're not aware of a data center or anything like that. We really don't know if there's any real specific reasons for that property. So an annexation request has not been forwarded to us, so it's something that we can't act on. I will tell you that if that ever comes about, if that annexation request does come our way, you will know about it, and you'll have the opportunity to speak up at that time. Typically, when they have those, they'll go through 3 readings through council before they get approved. I would strongly suggest that if you don't have the Live Archbold app on your phone, get it downloaded, because that information is pushed out onto that app so that you can know what's going on in the community, not just for this specific item, but for anything. So get that app. We don't have a local newspaper these days, although the Village Reporter is doing a great job. Northwest Signal, we have some good local newspapers, but we don't have the Archbold Buckeye to help us along with this. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Village Administrator Aaron All. I would like to introduce our Village Council. So if you guys could just raise your hand, we got our council president, Carla Ball, Chad Kern, Aaron Babcock, Kevin Eicher, Mike Evans, and Gary Dominic. So they're here to listen to any concerns that you have and to respond. So I'm going to turn it over to Aaron at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a few minutes before we get into basically why everybody's here for you to talk and share. I've conversed with Luke Boyers, Austin Dunlap over the weekend, and then again this morning and afternoon. And they did submit a statement, and for what it's worth, I'm going to read it. Whether this sentiment rings true to you, I'm still going to read it because this is what they put in writing. In light of recent public discussion, we felt it was important to reiterate what was shared at last Monday's Township Trustee meeting. Iron Ridge is not pursuing a data center project in Archbold. There are no plans, proposals, agreements, or active discussions related to a data center. We understand the concerns that have been raised, and we respect the fact that people care deeply about the future of Archbold. We do too. We live here, we work here, we have long-standing relationships in this community. Iron Ridge is committed to responsible economic development and working collaboratively with village leadership to support long-term job creation and business growth. Our focus will remain on manufacturing, warehousing, and industrial opportunities that align with values, character, and long-term vision for Archbold. We are grateful to be part of this community and remain committed to supporting its future for the next generation. Again, I believe it's similar to the words that they shared at the meeting a week ago at the Township Trustee meeting, but we also know that many of you are here because you still have speculation or your suspicions and or doubts of the truthfulness. So with that, I do feel that it's necessary to move on with the groups that have prepared statements. We want to be respectful with those statements. We have 300 plus people. There were 302 chairs approximately set out, so we have right around that here in this room. The press is here, news cameras are rolling, and so I guess at this time, the mic is hot. It's ready for somebody to come up and start sharing their thoughts, their opinions, what they wish to see council provide, as well as, again, echoing their thoughts to the German Township trustees. And we also have a few county commissioners in this room as well. So I guess with that, one at a time, raise your hand. We'll call on you to ask you to come up. Zach.
Thanks, Aaron. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Zach. What's that? Introduce yourself. Okay. Yeah, I'm Zach Bly. My wife and I have 4 boys. We live on County Road B. I am a commercial project manager. So I guess in light of maybe statements made, my experience, I'm actually, I go down to a data center every Tuesday. If you do some research on data centers in small towns, there's a lot of similarities. So I guess where I'm coming from is raising concerns. I ask that you guys do your own research. That is what I'm here for. I want to address, like I said, some of my research, my own personal findings being in the business. And like I said, I urge you to do your own research, because a lot of times these deals happen backdoor, and by the time it's made public, it's too late. All right, so it's just me waving, like, let's be very aware of this. All right, so I guess first and foremost, I do want to thank each and every person for showing up. You know, obviously you guys are concerned. It takes time and courage to be present and speak up. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable doing this. But I have 4 boys. I need to set a good example. You know, one thing rings true in my head is, if not now, then when? And if not me, then who? I want to thank the township trustees and council members who refused to sign NDA upholding transparency as elected officials representing the public. I want to thank individuals who publicly brought forth concerns of large land purchases and land contracts within the community. Many other rural communities that have not had the same transparency up front, making it much harder to have an effective say in potential developments. I also want to thank Aaron All for being responsive to requests by myself and others. I know you have been putting in a lot of time. Thank you. First off, we did file an FOIA. We just got that back a little bit ago. So I just want to address We do have one council member that did sign the NDA, is that correct? Yes. With Iron Ridge. I guess, Gary, correct? Okay. Do you, your family, or your place of employment have any relationship or business with parties involved in the NDA?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you for answering. I do want to speak to the village about concerns brought forth in the German Township meeting last Monday involving Iron Ridge development. I want to point out similarities between those actions and similar actions done in other communities resulting in a data center being built. These are opinions from statements made, research, and personal experience being in the industry. According to Iron Ridge Development, it was founded approximately a year ago and has completed no projects. When asked about where the money came from for this, they could not disclose. They also stated they have no developmental plans or end users. Now, I found this statement: the market for developers selling or developing land for data centers is currently experiencing a gold rush. Due to the competitive nature of finding, power, and rezoning land, developers often use non-disclosure agreements to secure large, multi-acre sites for AI campuses. Land sales are reaching a premium. Some developers have offered farmers and landowners up to $60,000 per acre to secure land for data centers. Now, we can all find publicly land was bought for $25,000 an acre, and additional land is under contract for $50,000 an acre. They're asking us to believe that someone gave them a significant amount of money to buy under contract hundreds of acres at a premium price with no plan in mind. They also told those of you that were at the trustee meeting that they wanted to meet to bring transparency. Asking landowners and elected officials to sign NDAs to many of us is the opposite of transparency. I asked the developers in the meeting, if there are no developmental plans, what is the purpose of asking elected officials and landowners to sign an NDA? I did not receive any response from either of them. I believe statements made by them were carefully worded. I look over construction contracts regularly. They guaranteed a woman who asked them in the meeting, will you build a data center? They said, we will not build a data center. I spoke up and said, you guys are developers. You can rezone the land. You can obviously get the land under contract, rezone and sell it to a company that builds data centers. And by wordsmithing, they are not building the data center. They said that they do not want a data center and they are not pursuing a data center. Just because they don't want one or are not pursuing one does not mean that they have not been contacted by a client or potential client that has intentions of building one, should the land be acquired and rezoned. Now, why do I believe that this is the most likely plan? The sheer size of land bought, under contract, or being pursued. Also, the language used. One of the developers said they have no end user in mind. That raised a red flag. Like I said, I am on a data center every Tuesday. I've gone for the last 9 months of the contractual agreements. It is a vague term, but along the whole last 9 months, the company I work for that's building the building, they constantly referred to the tech company as the end user. What does the end user want? We'll go back to the end user. Let's get approval from the end user. That just was one more thing that raised a red flag. My research shows this seems to be the playbook. Elected officials and landowners sign NDAs, a developer gets the amount of land needed under contract, rezones if necessary, and sells it to a shell company who constructs a data center and then sells it to the end user, which is a tech company. Large tech companies frequently use shell companies, subsidiaries with no active business operations, to acquire land, negotiate local governments, hide identity to prevent speculation, and reduce public opposition to new massive data center projects. Someone within the industry reached out to me, in the utility industry. They said, look at the location of land bought. The 75 acres that have been purchased has the 42-inch Rover natural gas line that runs right through it. They said that the electric grid is tapped out and data centers are being told to generate their own power elsewhere by natural gas. Please research that. That is up and running. At 3:30 in the morning, I decided to ask ChatGPT if it would tell on itself. I asked if a developer is buying and contracting hundreds of acres of land for $25,000 to $50,000 an acre and asking landowners to sign NDAs, what is going on? First point, they're assembling a large-scale project. Second point, the acre price tells you it's not farmland speculation. The buyer anticipates rezoning, and the price level usually implies a planned value jump after entitlement. What this usually means, if I had to rank probabilities based on typical U.S. patterns, a large data center campus. I then asked, what is the most likely use of the land? The first point, a large-scale data center campus. Data centers require 200 to 1,000 acres. They operate under strict confidentiality during site selection. They need massive power capacity. They often trigger NDAs with officials during utility and incentive talks, and they pay above farmland pricing to secure contiguous tracts quickly. So I just wanted to state those facts. I guess my only ask from council is just to consider putting in a measure disallowing elected members from signing NDAs involving village business. So, thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, Zach. Abby Pennington?
I need to bend down for you guys to hear me. Is there a way to raise this up? It was kind of hard to hear Zach. Okay, I couldn't really hear back there, so that's why I wanted to. Is this the one I'm supposed to stand up? Can you hear me now? No. How about now? Hey, there we go. Okay. All right, as Mayor Grimm said, my name is Abby Pennington. First and foremost, I just want to thank you all for allowing us to have this time to take the floor. I usually speak to a classroom of kindergarten through third graders, so this is a little bit different. Anyways, we've done a lot of preparation for tonight, and we're just here to speak our thoughts, and we're just thankful that you're letting us do that. I'm already getting off script. I need to look at my notes. So like I said, my name is Abby Pennington. I am a German Township resident. My husband and I are raising our 4- and 2-year-old on County Road 21 in between C and D. If you know anything about that area, that is very close to the land that has recently been purchased. I was born and raised in the village of Archbold, and I am a graduate of Archbold High School, and I am an active part of the Archbold community. Before I begin, Go to the middle, okay. Still can't hear. Okay, I can talk loud, but I don't know if I can talk as loud as what this microphone is projecting me. Before I begin, I want to be clear that I am... Yeah. We'll get through this. Okay. How about now? Whoa! Okay, that one's working. Okay, so before I begin, I just want to be clear that I am representing my own views, my own interests on data centers. I'm not representing the views of any local school districts. I'm not representing the views of my church or any organizations that I am a part of. I also want to be clear that I am not anti-AI. What I am for, though, is for responsible development of the village of Archbold, German Township, and our surrounding communities. If the current purchase of land surrounding Archbold is truly not intended to become a data center, then our factual information shared tonight just needs to be used to make informed policy moving forward. The reality is, data centers are popping up in rural communities because we are easy targets. And what is currently in motion follows the same pattern of development in towns all across the nation. We need to act now to impact future policy decisions. One action that I, along with many others, have helped with since this time, it's been a whirlwind of a week, you guys. This time last Monday, when we all met together for the German trustees meeting, was starting a Facebook group called Citizens for Responsible Development in Fulton County, Ohio. What this Facebook group stands for is, and I'm going to read the description that I wrote on there. We are local people doing our part in caring for each other, our land, and our resources. This page is for citizens to communicate factual, and that is in all capitalization, information surrounding development in Fulton County, Ohio. Another action I moved forward with this was creating a petition through change.org. I'm assuming some of you have signed that. Can we just do a show of hands? Has anyone signed that petition? Okay, thank you. Which focused on, it was titled Rejecting Annexation of Rural Land for Data Centers, Solar Fields, and Wind Farms. This could include, which was not necessarily listed on that petition, but just a side note, this could include hot and cold storage units. Now, I just want to note, though, this petition was not official. I know there was some question behind why it limited to just German Township. You have to know that when that petition was created, we had just left the German Township meeting. So it felt like a German Township issue, right? It's not. It is so beyond that, you guys. So just know that that's where that came from. For those that maybe felt excluded or wanted to sign, I appreciate that, and I just know that that's where that came from. So note also, this is not an official petition under Ohio Revised Code. Rather, it was just a way to raise awareness and let local voices be heard against annexation of farmland into the village of Archbold. However, per section 707.30 of the Revised Code, in order to force a referendum vote on a zoning amendment, signatures must be collected from citizens with the subject area of the township equal to 20% of the total votes cast for all candidates for governor in that area at the most recent general election. So if I did my math correctly, and I also want to put another side note, because you realize getting information can be really hard when people aren't on your side. I did call the Board of Elections on Friday, and I had trouble getting that number and was kind of pushed off till next week. Well, we're at next week, and today happens to be President's Day, so they're not open. So I just want you to know that we did do some deep diving to the best of our ability to get these numbers. I don't know if they're official, though, so just keep that in mind as I'm sharing this information, please. There were 2,386 total votes cast for all candidates for governor within German Township and the village of Archbold, so we totaled those together. 20% of that, if we total those two things together, is 478 signatures of petitioners. If we consider German Township only, there were 602 votes casted, which 20% would equal 121 signatures. Village of Archbold only would be 1,784 voters, which would equal to 20% of 357 that would need for a petition. I checked this at 4:32 p.m. We were at 515 signatures. Annexation of land into the village of Archbold could mean this. Property owners could have access to Archbold resources such as water and sewer services. They could have access to full-time police and fire protection. Another side note, we need to do some more research on that and the actual strain that could put. Property owners have access to more favorable zoning or development practices. So there's always been a possibility of claims that data centers will create jobs or revenue for our village. And I do think that is something that our village needs and is something that our village desires. However, according to Indiana University Environmental Resilience Institute, there are very few permanent jobs. After construction, data centers typically employ a small permanent workforce relative to their size and resources that they use, which results in often dozens of jobs, not hundreds. That's what we're left with. Further, per Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 5709 and the Ohio Department of Development Enterprise Zone Program, there are typically property tax abatements, and through enterprise zone agreements, local governments can approve a 50 to 75% property tax abatement. This typically lasts 10 to 15 years, could last up to 30. In Archbold's case, correct me if I'm wrong on this, we currently have a 10-year, 70% tax abatement for any new development within Archbold village limits.
That's
Residential.
Yeah, that CRA has to be approved by the school. Both school districts.
You want to see that in there?
Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, just so everybody knows, tax abatements, they have to be a joint effort between the schools. So Fort County Career Center, Archbold School would have to be approved if it was brought into the village of Archbold for anything commercial. Residential is 75%, 10 years. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. That's why I wanted to make sure I asked. According to ohiobar.org, there is always a possibility that annexation will hurt the township's own economic growth or its continued integrity as a governmental unit. And while it is relatively simple to annex property to a village or a city, it is very difficult to remove annexed land from a city or village. It is also important to keep in mind the statute of ORC 709.024, which is an expedited type 3 annexation petition where the property owners apply to the state. And this only has to be signed by the actual property owners to be annexed. So kind of a brief overview of how that works. The state has to find that annexation is required to support a major economic development. Then the state overrides everyone and it's annexed, and our zoning does no longer apply. In this case, the Village of Archbold zoning would not apply. There's no hearing and there's no way to appeal. I want to just highly recommend looking into House Bill 113. I haven't quite figured out if that's in our favor or not, but I'm starting to do some research on that. I'm almost done, you guys. Hang in there. My last statement, because that's really depressing information in my opinion. I know we're supposed to leave emotion out of it, but that's really depressing information. So I want to leave you with this. So how do we fight this? I've got a few things that are currently in motion. If a property owner's Type 3 annexation petition does get approved by the state, we need to ensure that we have strong ordinance against noise, air, and light pollution, making it harder and more expensive for them to build. I also suggest tabling discussion gives us time to rewrite our statutes to make them very strict to protect our community's health and our environment. The second point I'd like to suggest, the time's now. You need to contact your state and local representatives. You do not need to be a fancy or articulate writer. A simple email with your stance gets your point across just the same. It took me an hour to compile the list that that's getting passed around right now, along with a handout that Laura Bickle helped prepare for this evening. A side note on that, there's 2 sheets. I'm sorry. I was at the library printing this off. If you want quick printing, do not go to the library. I love the local library, but that's why I was late. Anyway, the first page, on the front, you'll see some information that might surprise you, maybe not for those who have researched. On the back of that front page is a place for notes and for questions. I think sitting here, listening to all this can be overwhelming. I know I have felt overwhelmed all week by this. So there's a place to gather your thoughts, and maybe there's questions for these guys, or maybe there's questions for us as a group that we can help you with or figure out. The second page is that contact list. So from our local representatives all the way up to the state, it's on there. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but trust me when I say the names that we put on there, we've done our research and those are the people you want to contact. Okay, so save yourself some time and use that sheet and let your voice be heard. A third thing that has recently popped up just today that I didn't really make notes about, I just have the words yard signs, so I'll make this quick. We do have a sign-up sheet over in that big window where Laura Bickle's raising her hand. If you would like a yard sign against data centers, put your name on there, your contact information, you'll see it. There's pens over there. Write your name down and we'll get one to you. Thank you.
Laura?
First, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Laura Bickle, and I am representing the group Citizens for Responsible Development in Fulton County. And I share tonight my personal views and interests, and they are not reflected, or they do not reflect, again, my employment, my church. They're my own. I teach biology and environmental science. I do have a major in biology, a minor in geology, a master's in education. I was a member of our wind team that did research and did a wind study for a year through Green Energy Ohio to put up this 750 kilowatt wind turbine that sits on the Archbold High School campus. I wrote grants to help fund that, so I do have a strong interest in the environmental impact that a data center would impose upon our greater community. My goal for tonight is to briefly present you some of the environmental concerns that I detailed on the paper that was passed around to you. And I'll speak on those in 1 second. It also needs to be stated again that if current developments for this land opportunity is not truly a data center, my hope is that all of the information shared here tonight will inform policy moving forward and protect our natural resources and put into motion things that are the best for our community. So let's talk a little bit about the environmental impacts. First off, let's speak on water. A 1 gigawatt data center can consume around 5 million gallons of water a day. Meta's 2024 sustainability report showed that all of its data centers alone used a total of 3,078 megaliters, which equates to 813 billion gallons of water that year. A 2025 Bloomberg report shows that 2/3 of data centers built or that are in construction have been in regions already plagued with high water stress. And if you have watched our local news stations lately, again, they have brought up our drought monitor, and you will notice that we sit in an area that is in an excessive drought still today. Along with water, they will talk about closed loop circulation systems for cooling the servers that are inside of data centers. These closed loop cooling systems contain forever chemicals, and these do end up in our waterways. They disrupt our ecosystems, they harm life, beginning at the microorganism level, and it goes all the way up through our food chain to you and I. This will impact our natural wetlands around Archbold directly. Again, data centers are fairly new, so not a lot is known about the effects on humans, but we do know the chemicals that are being used, and we know that those chemicals do impact us. So we are learning as we go, but time is key. Air pollution. If the power grid fails, backup generators are used to provide emergency power. They run on diesel. They are linked to releasing significant particulate matter, nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide, and carbon monoxide into the environment. The EPA does not require them to use pollution controls because they run sporadically. So they get under our protective measures, and therefore they are released into our direct environment. The noise pollution is something to also consider when dealing with a data center. They release decibels that are at the 55 to 85 range, and a lot of them are at a lower frequency also, and they are finding that the impact from those is detrimental to wildlife as well as people living near them. You can look at your sheets that were passed around. I prepared this. It's just some basic information on the front that I thought would maybe grab some attention. And again, speaking to the water usage, destruction of our rural land, massive power demand, the industrial noise, and our serious health concerns. And these are all linked on our Facebook page. So we have started a Facebook page that is the responsible development in Fulton County. So I encourage you to follow us. We are putting on there factual information to inform the public so we can make sound decisions moving forward. And again, those are all linked here. All of the information that is on this sheet has been cited by research, and those links are also on this paper, and they are linked on our Facebook page. So just in closing, I just want to reiterate that we cannot ignore the risks. We want solutions that are mindful and protect our natural resources. They are precious. We want what is best for all members of our community now and in the future. Thank you.
Oh, God, sorry. All right, John, mic's yours.
Good evening. We need to thank the council for having a meeting such as this to let us air our grief. This is an emotionally highly charged issue. My prior speaker addressed that just a little bit. I want to tell you, as a former county auditor, if you have to go to Columbus to get something stopped, emotion doesn't mean sick 'em. You better have facts and figures. Emotion alone does not cut it. Fortunately, in 1995, when I was active county auditor, is when North Star Steel came to Fulton County. One man, employee of Cargill Grain Company, who owned steel mills, and BHP, BlueScope, an Australian company with doing worldwide business. They were extremely transparent, right up front. When Ed came to town and they researched the site, they decided this is where we want to try it. They had people, had water, had infrastructure, had roads, had a superhighway. They held numerous meetings. The initial reaction in Fulton County, in the Delta area, I'm speaking only for Delta at this point, was, oh my God, a steel mill. Well, they were thinking the old-fashioned blast furnace, smoke-belching fire type. The new mills, they call them mini mills, they're dealing with scrap steel. They do use prodigious amounts of electricity. We will concede that point right away. That's up to the power companies to be able to provide that kind of power, which they've done so far. Along with the two other companies I mentioned, a company called Worthington Steel out of Columbus, Ohio, was very active in these meetings. Worthington is a company that makes one of their products, these propane cylinders that you use on your gas grill. All the way to big cylinders, to they owned a patent at that time on a train coupler, so that they take coal cars up a ramp or whatever, and turn them upside down and dump them without unhooking them. They held a patent for that. The point of it is, all of these people, all three companies, were very top shelf. I've become friends with one of them, friends yet to this day. They tried to hide nothing. If there was a problem, they'd talk about it right up front. One thing I learned from that, there's about three important things that we need to consider when somebody comes to town. How will it affect the school? Well, we look at a data center. You know, it's dangerous to give a politician a microphone. Wants to go too long. I try to be brief. If a data center would employ 2,000 people, not 2,000, and 500 came to Archbold, number one, where would they find housing? If they did, drive the already high price even higher. And assuming that 500 employees have one child each to go to the school system, that would be a 40% increase in the enrollment of the Archbold local schools. We presently have about 1,100 or just slightly over that pupils in the system. If you dump maybe 400 grand on top of that, look what's happening to your taxes. They try poverty now, you wait a while, even worse. Next thing to consider is infrastructure. Okay, no roads, no big deal. Are they going to require sewer? I don't know. Never heard that they would. All I hear is what I see on TV about the various places that have had problems with data centers coming in. They will require a lot of water. Well, hopefully they don't think we're going to go down to the aquifer and draw out, I guess, 1 million gallons a day. Prior speakers said 5 million gallons a day. Well, if they go to the aquifer, I'm telling you right now, that's going to kill a lot of wells in the surrounding area. And if they suck that water out, it's not going to do any good to drill another well, because they suck it out, it ain't there. It's a fact of life. Economic development. I hope I don't stir up too much trouble here. I was in a local restaurant. A close friend of mine said, "Hey, I hear Archbold's getting a data center." I said, "No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be dead in the water." "Oh, yeah? How'd you find out?" "A member of your city council told this person we were getting a data center." Last week in the trustees meeting, it was vehemently denied anybody had ever even so much as heard of a data center. I don't know. That's something for the mayor. He'll have to straighten his council out on that matter. We believe in transparency, but it's for all the people, not for a limited few. Economic development, folks, we all encourage and want economic development. Generally, that means an increase in tax rate base. Anytime you can increase that tax base, it helps minimize the effect on us as local homeowners. The economic development people, we don't want to handcuff them. We still need them to go after business and industry. We like that industry. So we need their help. Don't have handcuffs them, but let's hope we get transparency. And my previous speaker did a nice job addressing some of the pitfalls and what you can do to prevent some of it. That's all I had to say. Highly charged emotional issue. The Delaware area went through about the same thing when Ed Fox was presenting the steel mill. They did their missionary work. They talked to people. They had meetings. They chartered buses to go to see one of their mills in Monroe, Michigan. They answered questions right up front. They weren't bashful about it. And the best part of it is Worthington and North Star have all become part of the community. They're contributing to our county fair. They're contributing to the local school district. Okay, I just got the word. I'm all done. Thanks for your attention, folks.
All right, Sarah, you can come up now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Cromley. I've only lived in the area for 3 years. Before that, we were in Swanton. We bought our house on County Road 20 between State Route 2 and F 3 years ago, and I checked the zoning because I wanted to make sure nothing like this would ever happen. And we wanted to be in the country. We love the country. So I'm not going to get emotional right now because I'm trying to handle this as an attorney. I am an attorney in Michigan, not in Ohio. I'm not representing anyone or doing anything like that. I'm just a homeowner who feels horrified by this happening to their community. And I love farmland. I love nature. We are outdoor people, and we think this community is amazing and super special. And communities like this are really rare, and we want to preserve it. So I'm doing everything I can to work with this group to help. And I've been working nonstop. We're up at almost 5 or 6 in the morning working on this until 11 o'clock at night with this group. We're exhausted because we want to save this community. So some of the things that I have wanted to talk about tonight. First, we're asking the town council right now to consider tabling this. We are asking for you to consider all of the health effects, the environmental effects, and the societal effects that this possible data center will have on this community. And I also wanted to point out that Mr. Dominique, you were the one who said you signed a non-disclosure agreement, and you have family ties to this project somehow, or business ties?
Business ties.
So you're not allowed to vote on it or be a part of this discussion at all. But I'm glad that you were honest about that, but you can't. I mean, that's the ethics commission that you'd have to deal with that, but it's kind of a big deal. So, and I think everyone here deserves transparency, especially when it affects our homes, our properties, people who have lived here for generations. So I'm just kind of ashamed of people that would do things like this. But, so a couple of things that I wanted to bring up to the town council. So I'm asking you to table this. First of all, House Bill 15 allows a developer of a data center to put in their own power plant. And they can do that without another permit. So they could put it in right next to the data center, and it will be on the pipeline. So we're all speculating that that's why they're putting it here, is because of that pipeline. So are you guys ready to have a power plant right there outside of, like, right by Archbold? And do you have any idea what goes into that? Do you have questions about that? You probably do, so you'd want the time to research it, right? So the other thing that you probably haven't thought about, I don't know, but you need to know whether or not they've been approved. Hi, sorry. I'm not good at this. So the Federal Energy Commission has to issue a permit for them to be approved to be interconnected to the grid. Have they done that yet? Do you know? You probably don't know. Nobody knows any of this, and we need to know this in order to approve something like this. If it's going to be hooked up to a substation, we need to know what the upgrades would be required and what cost that would be, and who would cover those costs. Would it be us? Are we going to have to pay for all of that? Because I don't think anyone can really wants to pay for the data center to be hooked up to the power grid. We also have to think about redesigning the roads and bridges. So if we have construction workers here all the time, there are a lot of people that will be coming in, and we don't have the roads for that. So then we have to have agreements. We have to have new roads designed and bridges, and that's probably going to be pretty expensive. So do we have use maintenance agreements for those roads and bridges? So, and then also the water, from what the people I spoke with said, on average, it's 2 to 3 million gallons per day that the data center uses for cooling. So we need to know whether or not our water table can sustain that. So there needs to be studies done on this. And actually, I just wish we just wouldn't have this. But if they're going to do it, they need to do the studies, and they need to do it the right way. And also, the health effects of this are astronomical. The diesel, nitrous oxide, there's asthma, lung cancer, people having miscarriages because of these. We spoke with someone that we were considering hiring to help us fight this, and he just did a very quick hour-long conversation with us, and he showed us where this land is that was purchased. If you go 2-mile radius around that, those are the people that will suffer the health effects from this. And the schools, Archbold School is 1 mile away, and Pettisville School is 2 miles away. So we're putting in a data center in between two schools. It doesn't make sense. It's not good for their health. So I just wanted to voice my concerns and let you know that we are working hard on this, and we'd appreciate everyone's support in this, because nobody wants to see this community ruined. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Jim Wise?
Thank you, Aaron. My name is Jim Wise. I'm a former mayor here in Archbold, currently serving as the Fulton County Economic Development Director. Sarah, welcome to the community. For those of you that are stressed, relax. There's no data center. There never was. The trustees made some assumptions based on a conversation. I have an NDA in place with the folks at Iron Ridge, but I have about 20 NDAs I'm working on now throughout Fulton County. So I promise you, there is nothing being planned. So worrying about the water, worrying about the electricity, there's nothing to worry about. The trustees got a little ahead of themselves and probably should have done a little more homework. I had 2 trustees call me last week. Jim, what's up with the data center? Nothing. That's what I thought. So others are calling and asking. They never reached out once to ask if we're working on this. So I feel bad for those of you that are stressed. This is my home. I promise there is nothing in the works. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has anything. What's that?
Thank you. No problem.
Correct. We have discussed nothing. There's nothing to hide. I have 20 of them in place for projects all across the county. I'm trying to explain that NDAs are quite normal thing in economic development. The first one I signed a year ago, it's now moved on, so I'll share the example. They came and they were looking for a place. They had a business in southern United States and one up in Canada. They wanted to consolidate. If their employees found out what they were thinking of doing, it would have been detrimental. Those business decisions can't be made public. So it's not that we're hiding anything. I call Aaron regularly. Hey, I'm working on this project. Their water, they need this much water. Is that a doable thing? So it's not that we're hiding anything. It's that the business doesn't want it disclosed in public until they're ready. And like the one I explained from a year ago, it went away. They're looking at another location now, so it's a moot point. But it's just like when we all go see our banker. We don't expect our banker to tell things we're working on. And in the world of business, you have to keep things quiet until the right time. Village officials are involved in economic development projects. We communicate, probably not every week, but certainly a few times a month.
What's your speculation for why they would want to pay that much for land and get that much land? I mean,
Why would I speculate on, I'm going to repeat the question. Why would they pay that much for land? That's not that unusual anymore. No. So, if you look it up on the auditor's site, I believe it was early December, North Star Steel bought 90 acres. They have no plans for it. I think they paid about $22 an acre. They have no plans for it. No. It's 2023. Yeah. Question?
Yes, I've heard a lot of talk about what the land isn't being used for. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that it's not being used for a data center, and I will concede that I cannot prove that it is, but can you tell us anything about what it is going to be used for?
There are no plans at this time.
Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Thank you. So our group, again, for responsible development in Fulton County, would you be on board with helping to protect and make
I think we already have that in place. We communicate, they have to make decisions. So I have no problem with that. I'm still trying to figure out,
With more research.
I'm happy to talk to anybody. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Right now, my bullshit detector just went off.
No.
Come on. What are these guys gonna do with that land? If they're gonna pay that kind of money for it?
Any other questions? Look, this has been my home for 40 years. I am not going to stand in front of my members, my neighbors, and lie to you. So I'm just speaking from the heart, and I'm telling you what's going on. So. No, I signed a non-disclosure about 2 weeks ago, and we have had zero discussions since. Because they wanted to sit down and talk. I have 20 of them in place.
Did they sit down and talk to you?
We have not talked.
So something isn't coming in the future now.
So you can say that now, but they can call you tomorrow after the meeting and tell you.
And I will communicate with Archbold officials, and we'll make sure that it's appropriate. No, yes, Tyson.
I mean, do you think that you could possibly just not know? Because they want 75 across from me, 130 across from me, another 160 behind me. That's not believable. What you're saying is not believable. I guess I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying.
No, Tyson.
It's not believable that they bought $50,000 an acre on one. They've already turned down $50,000 an acre behind me. So I mean.
They've only closed on one,
I've
I believe.
Seen a factory going here, 2 miles this way. It doesn't make any sense. So what you're saying, it doesn't seem believable to the people or myself. And
I'm just telling you the truth, Tyson. I would think I would know.
It's not believable. What you're saying is not believable.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna open it up for anybody else that wants to speak. I have a young man right here. Sorry, I don't know your name, but if you'd identify yourself, that'd be great, okay?
Hello, my name is Rudy Roger. I'm a senior at Archbold High School. Now, obviously, I don't have the stats that everybody else does here, but I just wanted to give you guys an opinion of what we think at our age and our generation. So we had our senior retreat yesterday and the day before, and that was a topic that got brought up at 2 a.m. or something like that. And we're all against it, and it's been going around at school for weeks. And you guys can all attest to this. Everybody's been through high school. The conversations that go through high school are super weird. They're random, but this one's not random. It comes up all the time. Almost every single day, people are talking about it and the negative side effects of it. And I'll keep this last point here. Don't wreck our future and our generation for the short-term success that comes with this data center.
Thank you very much for that. Would you like to come up?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Corey Roofnup. I disagree with what Jim said a little bit because we do have evidence of options being signed for $50,000 an acre. So that is out there. It is public knowledge. It is recorded with the state. Now, not all of them are recorded. Zach has found those. So there is, yes, one is sold. There are more under option. Just for your information.
We've got a couple hands going up right now. Marty, and we probably should make the testimony kind of quick just for sake of, I know that there's still people who want to speak.
Yep, I'm going to be short.
Okay.
And I can probably talk loud enough for everybody to hear, but I've been out here for about 32 years. The first battle I had to hire an attorney because I wanted to live in the country, raise my kids, have a garden, have fresh air, listen to cows, because I was from the city. I didn't even really know much about cows. I I do know a little bit more now, but I had a fight because they wanted to put a 800-foot factory right next door. So it came to zoning. So that one, we were successful. We got it pushed aside. It wasn't even 2 years later. The other side of the block, another zoning, a transportation company with 50 semis operating out of a house. So the point is, if things keep coming back to zoning, but you don't have a robust plan, it shouldn't be everybody here who pays for a lack of plan. And then if it's being signed off with non-disclosures, you are not, people that do, are not looking out for the community. I'm sorry. Fix your system, get it robust, and then we'll be happier with what's going on. Period.
And I'm just going to speak for a moment on that because he does make a valid point. And 5 years ago, I started working for the town. I left a career in HR. The mayor called me up and said, come work in zoning. People thought, what are you doing? And I needed a break. And so I started working for the town and trying to build relations with the community and working with our zoning code. And ever since then, we have been trying to work it. But, and I'm not going to look at any faces in this room, but I'm sure that one of you at one point ran into an issue with zoning because of where you wanted to place something on your property. And so when it comes to zoning, and we posted that notice about reviewing the zoning code, and there was a lot of doubt and hatred that the town is already working against you. And I can stand here and say 100%, we've never been trying to work against the community and working with zoning. But if zoning isn't right, you're going to get stuck with something bad. And a couple of examples I just want to touch on. 2022, January, we had somebody from Akron come into Archbold. He wanted to buy where the Thunderdome is now, Linear Truck Building. You know where that is? He wanted to put Bitcoin mining in there. And what I'm going to get at is important just to understand is I did not go to the community and say somebody's going to put Bitcoin mining in there. We shut it down. The mayor and I, we shut it down. We did not allow it to go further. If you don't know what Bitcoin mining is, look it up. It's a bunch of servers jammed inside a building that has no fire protection. That building could have gone up in flames, caused other areas of town to start burning. We shut it down without having to go to the community. And there was another project where somebody wanted to put in behind Dogwood Court. If you live on Rosewood or Dogwood Court, you have 49 homes in your subdivision. Somebody wanted to put 120 homes in what is called Cambridge Estates. We shut it down. Why? Because it would have ruined the values of the property in Rosewood and Dogwood and the surrounding homes. Then that same person came. They wanted to put, it was 48 triplexes in behind Park Street. So if you live behind Parks or live on Park Street, or you know where the athletic complex is going up, they wanted to slam these triplexes 6 feet apart from each other, and we shut them down. So I'm not saying that there wasn't any speculation or any mention of a data center, but what I'm saying is as soon as the data center words came out, Dexter and I and Grant started looking at our zoning code. Without raising red flags immediately, we said we have to get something right before it comes after us. So I kind of wanted to set the record straight because Marty kind of transitioned to the whole zoning piece, is that we are always looking at the zoning code, and you may not appreciate it or you may not like it when we say a road or a parking lot needs to be curved, but there's a reason for zoning, and it's not going to be perfect for everybody, but the goal is to try and get it close enough for the community to keep order and to maintain the values that we do have here. So I've taken a lot of slam doors in the face since I came to work for the community, and I'm not going to give it up now. We're going to continue to work and do the best that we possibly can with what we have in front of us. But we are reviewing that zoning code. It's going to cost a ton of money to have attorneys review it as well, and in order to make sure that anything that happens within this community is done right. Taco Bell wants to come in. They've got the right, because that's the freedom of prosperity and people to do with what they choose in a qualified zoning area that works and is compatible. But when it comes to other issues that are clearly an obvious concern of this community, we're going to continue to work towards that and making sure that the voice of the people are heard. So I just kind of wanted to give that sentiment. I worked on a speech. My wife said, I hope you practice that, and I decided to ad-lib it. But a lot of you do know me, and a lot of you know that I care, and I probably honestly care a little too much at the expense of my time with my family and just putting the phone down. But we are here, and we want to hear from you. call us, talk to us, stop in the office. When I say, hey, I want to help you understand a little bit better the way something works, I don't mean it to try and make you feel like you don't understand, but sometimes we just have to set that record straight so you do understand. But like I said, when the opportunity presents itself to run somebody out of town, we will, and or we will review what we can do, or with what eventually council does need to get to on this next discussion point of new business that we have on our agenda. But JJ, I know you had your hand up, and a couple others did too.
Yes, welcome community. This is going to be short and sweet, but I want to give words of encouragement. I am JJ Roop. I have 4 kids. 3 of them are in this school district. I also live north of Archbold. Me and my parents are farmers. We have livestock and we row crop in this local area. So when it comes to someone who is rooted in farming and agriculture and rooted in this community, that's me. One thing that you notice, right, this is just as time goes on, when I was at the trustee meeting and this one, there's definitely a sense of worry and a sense of fear. And I just want to give encouragement, please. There's only one thing we should fear, and that's God himself. That is not human, right? He is the one, in Matthew 28, it says, I have control, I have dominion, I have authority over heaven and earth. And so as though it's good to be wise and bring up topics and bring up different things, we are not called to hate our neighbor. We are called to love them, as Jesus actually died for his. He died for the Pharisees. So I just want to encourage you. The facts are awesome. I love it. But please, I want to grow, I want my kids to grow in a community that love one another and that fear God, not man. So thank you very much.
And Kevin set up the mics for us tonight, so a round of applause for him.
Hopefully you guys can hear. I think I'm holding it close enough, right? So I'm your newest member of the Zoning Commission in Archbold, and I just have a couple words to say. My name is Kevin Baez. I moved here. My parents moved me here back in 1998, and since then I've been a member of this community. This community has accepted me. I've been able to grow here, do many great things in this community. In fact, last week I said that I am just an average Joe living in an extraordinary village. Each and every single one of you make this a great place to live. I've chosen to stay here and raise 2 beautiful young children. Last year I chose to get involved in this village. It was crazy to think that this council accepted me with open arms because they were thirsty for people to participate. So my word to everybody is become active. Last year, there was a lot of people who got together because of Casey's. Then there's a lot of people here for this now. We should not only show up, and I get it, we have a reason to right now, but we shouldn't only show up when things are at our doorstep. We need to become proactive instead of reactive. I've been working with the citizens for responsible development in Fulton County at a very minuscule level, if anything, just offering a couple of jokes here and there and support for each and every single one of you for the great work that you guys have done all week. But they've heard it from me throughout this last week. I've said it a couple times. We need a 2-pronged approach. We don't like data centers. Let's do everything we can possible to prevent them from showing up at our doorstep. And on the other hand, we need to work in our community and support our council members, support the trustees, support every level of government that can work with us to stop anything and everything else and bring the business and the development that we deserve, that aligns with our values and our lifestyle. Because our lifestyle is very different from a lot of other places. We're rural, we're small, we're a village, but even if you go 1 village over, it's a little different. And you go 2 over, it's still a little different. So let's do everything we can. Even if it's 1 person from each block, I don't know. Whatever you guys want to do. But show up to a council meeting. The way that this works is communication. Communication goes 2 ways, right? So if these guys are just talking to themselves every 2 weeks in chamber, they're not getting to hear what you guys want. And then they'll have to wait until times like this to hear everybody, right? And then the BS detectors go off and everything else. We have wonderful people working civically within our village. Great workers at different levels. And let's help them. Because, again, they're just talking to themselves if we don't show up. And that's what I started doing. I can preach that right now because that's what I started doing last year. I started showing up, and aside from some of the guys that were running and the news, I was the only person in there. And some people showed up at different times, but I made it something that I was going to do consistent. So I just encourage everybody, if you don't know where to start, talk to Laura Bickle, talk to Abby Pennington, talk to Sarah Cromley, talk to Zach Bly, talk to a lot of new names that I saw over the week. Get involved with them. Not everything has to be pickets, and protests, but we can work with our local government to get stuff done, right? And like JJ said, right, the word says, I think 365 times, do not be afraid. We don't need to be afraid. We just need to be ready. We need to be ready to work and do what we need to do to make or continue to allow Archbold and its surrounding areas to be the beautiful, great place that it is. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt again, but we do have one thing that we wanted to share with everybody. Dexter Krieger, is he here?
Dexter's in front of you.
Dexter, you signed a non-disclosure agreement?
Yes.
Okay, and it was about this project.
Yes.
So when did you sign it?
January 28th.
Do you have any idea what's going to be going on?
No, I haven't had any conversations since then.
So you-
Dexter's been released from the public records request, so he's been fully released to disclose anything that he...
Okay, I think it's good for us to know though, that you were approached, our county engineer was approached in January to sign in.
He's not an elected official.
Okay, but it's good to know that this is actually happening. I think we need to know that.
Hi, good evening. My name's Jesse Woods. I'm a family man. I live one town over. I'm the senior engineering, director of engineering for a large company for the U.S. side. One of our manufacturing facilities is here in Archbold. So I just want to state a couple facts about data centers and my experience is building factories next to them, needing employees, and how that all works. So data centers require enormous amounts of power and water. In a small town, those resources are not unlimited. When a single facility consumes the same electricity as thousands of homes, it strains the local grid. That doesn't just raise concerns for the residents, it directly impacts existing manufacturing plants that already rely on a stable environment. When power capacity gets tight, manufacturers face higher costs, delayed expansions, or even limits on operations. That's for the people who are already here manufacturing. Excuse me. There is also economic balances to consider. While data centers bring construction jobs, they typically create far fewer long-term positions than manufacturing facilities. A plant that's been part of town for decades may employ hundreds of skilled workers, support suppliers, and drive real economic activity. A data center on the same footprint may employ only a fraction of that workforce. Finally, infrastructure gets stretched, roads, substations, and land that can support diverse industrial growth become tied up by single, highly specialized operations that don't integrate into a local supply chain. Small towns thrive on balanced, sustainable industry. We should be prioritizing developments that create long-term jobs, support existing business, and use our shared resources responsibly. I grew up a farmer myself. It's not good for farmers. It's not good for local industry. It's not good for manufacturing. And usually in these deals, there's a lot of back doors, and people are getting rich on the side. Thank you.
we have anybody else at the moment? Otherwise, okay. Yep.
Hey, everybody. My name is Shirley Cervantes. I moved up here about 4 years ago from Johnstown, Ohio, that area. And Zach can attest to this as well. We had an Intel chip plant that came in. A lot of what I see happening here happened there, where there was a lot of farms that were bought up just under the radar. Nobody really paid attention to it. And they put this Intel plant in the once beautiful little town I lived in. It's a little bit bigger than Archbold. If you flatten out our hills, we do have hills down there. It's not pretty anymore. They've widened 2-lane roads to 4-lane roads to 6-lane roads. Houses that are about the size of, I don't know if you know West Street, but the late 60s, early 70s block style houses. Usually, 100,000 are going for 300,000 and 400,000 right now with no improvements. The school system had to build a new high school, and it's already out of people. And it was out of people before they even finished it. So these are things that you have to think about. Excuse me. So the water plants are stressed and everything else. I am worried about the data center, but I'm also worried about other things like the chip plant. That's a lot of the economic revenue. They've toted all these jobs that were going to come in. We're on our third owner right now, and it still isn't built. So a lot of the jobs that were promised are not coming into fruition. So you have a rise in housing cost. Around here, you can't find land to build a house on. So and I know personally we were looking for some land to possibly build a house on, but we just can't find it, which is great because it's farmland. But it's bad that they're buying this land up for $50,000, $60,000 an acre to put something else on that's going to harm our environment. So I applaud the citizens of Archbold for taking a stand against this. I kind of wish Johnstown would have done that. There was a lot of backdoor politics and a lot of things. They put new council members in on the slide. Nobody knew what their real agenda was until it was too late and they couldn't do anything about it. So if you want to see kind of what it can happen to a neighborhood, and like I said, Zach he'd been down there probably and looked at some of the not destruction, but beautiful farmland is not there anymore. So I'm very proud to be a citizen of Archbold and just go in with eyes wide open. Don't think it's going to go underneath the table or, oh, that won't happen to us, because it will happen to you. And if there's enough money put in people's pockets, it definitely will happen to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brooks Bainfeld. I am 24 years old. A little bit about me. I graduated obviously a few years ago, and I have 2 little kids. One of them has a disease known as Williams syndrome. And just a little story with that. We found out about a month into him being born what he had. And in that time, we went to Toledo Hospital and we spoke to a doctor about what he had and what the possible complications were. And at the time, he delivered information to us that was really terrifying, scary stuff. Things like your kid might not make it in the next year. And we were, I think, blinded by a lot of hate in that moment. We decided to not go to that doctor anymore. When in reality, he was right. We go down to Columbus every 4 or 5 months, and we see a doctor down there who tells us the exact same thing. And I think that there is, while I am against the certain circumstances that are happening right now, I think there's a lot of hate that is in this room. I think sometimes we can be blinded by the hate that we have for others instead of the love that we have for our community. So I just want everybody to know that, in any situation, in my situation alone, I was hateful or resentful towards this doctor. But in the end, I hated the way that I reacted to that. And I wish I would have led with more love. So I think that that's something we all need to think about in this room, not to stop thinking about this because this is obviously an important situation, but also to lead this situation in the right way. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, now I think it's time to hear from the council members, the mayor. We do have new business, and that is to begin the discussion. And at once we thought possible moratorium. However, I received probably 3 or 4 text messages and people pulling me aside and saying, spoke to some officials, we probably should reconsider the moratorium and table this topic, therefore that we have time to properly identify all the channels that we need to take in order to evaluate and assess everything so that we don't get slapped with an injunction. So therefore, I'm going to take some advice for tonight, but I'm also going to consult with the village attorneys and the village solicitor as well after this meeting tomorrow. They won't appreciate the phone call this evening, but so I guess at this point, now it's up for the 6 members who do get to decide how legislation passes in this community because they were elected, all 6 of them, and to begin that discussion. So I don't know who would like to go first, but I'm going to hand the mic off to one person, and you're not going to hear me talk for a while. Aaron?
My name's Aaron Babcock, council member for 2 years now. I just want to first and foremost thank everybody for coming out. And like Kevin said, we invite all of you and more to come to meetings. We would love to move our location here because it's this big all the time. Aaron would not, but I would. I think it's exciting. Get involved, be involved, because we'd rather have you here than doing it on social media. And we honestly want to open the lines of communication and hear from you face to face about your issues, your worries. And quite frankly, we learn from you sometimes the best avenue to take. Because in my opinion, you've spoken loud. I'm not afraid to say I'm with you. I'm against this whole thing, if it is. And quite frankly, I urge you again to get involved in any meeting, whether it's German Township, whether it's village council, and any committee we have. It's all public knowledge, so please.
All right, good evening, everybody. Mike Evans was just elected to council here this past election cycle. I just want everybody to know I hear your concerns. I share them with you. I got a young family of my own. My family's got young families. So the health concerns and the risks that come with it, I'm with you. The whole overpromise, underdeliver thing is a real thing with big tech. From my research, really don't want to be any part of that either. We've kind of learned the hard way with Rover, missing out on a bunch of money. But I work with a Ohio State Farm Bureau board member. And this is an educational program for everybody. If you're a Farm Bureau member, you're welcome to attend. On February 26th at 7 o'clock at the Wood County Fairgrounds, Dale Arnold is the Director of Energy Policy for Ohio Farm Bureau. This doesn't just start here with us. DeWine wants Ohio to be the tech hub of the country. So this does expand a lot further than just Archbold. But I stand with you guys. I hear you, all the concerns, appreciate the text calls. I'm available. I think my email's on the government webpage, so feel free to reach out whenever. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about it.
My name is Carla. I've been on council. This is my 7th year. I appreciate those of you who have reached out, had conversation. Those of you who've been praying for the community along with me. This has been a very stressful couple of weeks, as you can imagine. This has put a lot on the 6 of us sitting here, as well as the mayor and Aaron. This conversation has only recently come to us. Please understand, we have not been having side conversations, back non-public discussions about data centers coming. So when this just came to us, we are drinking from a fire hose, trying to learn everything that we can to make decisions that are appropriate for the community that, please remember, we're also residents of. The only difference between all of you, well, many of you who are living within city limits, and me, is that I stepped up to serve in this capacity. I didn't ask to be, driven down by speculation. I'm strictly trying to learn, along with everybody else who's watching every video on Facebook, about what a data center brings as far as damage to our community. None of us wants that either. We all live here as well. So to speak just briefly about zoning, since I have been on council and involved in this, we have done an annexation 2 times. And the 2 times that we did it were for the Dollar General North, and there was controversy there, but we knew exactly what they were doing. We knew exactly what they were bringing to the community, and we did it very, very step by step, very concisely, to make sure that we weren't making a decision that was going to be harmful to our community in a financial matter or anything else. What that did was give us control to be able to say to them, here's what you can and here's what you cannot do. The other time was when we just annexed in land for development of a new residential community. We knew full well exactly what was going to be coming. We knew exactly why we were doing it, and it was for the betterment of the community. I have absolutely no intention of approving any kind of annexation of a bunch of property that we don't have any plan for. So I just ask that, I appreciate those who have said, please come and participate in our meetings. It gets kind of lonely when there's only, 6 of us talking to each other, like Kevin said. We do appreciate the engagement of the community. We appreciate that you guys have been out and asking questions. We just ask that you continue to communicate with us on a partnership basis, not on a you guys don't know what you're doing basis. Talk to us, because maybe we don't know, we're still learning it. We're still trying to figure out the next steps, but we are in the process of starting to talk more about what we need to do to put safeguards up and protect our community.
Chad Kern. I've been on council for 6 years now. Actually, the first 6 months of meetings were in this room because of COVID. We sat 1 per table. I'd bug the mayor every week. Can we go to council chambers now? And we stayed here for a while, but let's get back to subject. I think the biggest issue with this whole deal is transparency. Every business that comes to town here in the last 6 years has been transparent about what they do. When we hear speculation of things happening throughout the countryside over a 2-mile area where people are trying to buy up land, we're going to talk about what's going on here. And I believe Jim and what he said, that they have not spoke about data centers. 100% believe in about that. But every data center has started like this. It starts like this. So we're going to be worried about it. Even if it's not going to be a data center, we're going to be worried about it. Farmland, and I said this at the last meeting, when it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back. And that's something that is very precious to this area. So when it comes to this, yeah, we're going to be worried about it. We're going to speculate about it. We're going to uncover every stone and try to figure out what's going on here. So you have I went to a meeting last night with some of the people that are on Facebook and things like that. And you got my word. I'll fight this to the end. So thank you all for coming. Have a great night.
Well, I'm Kevin Eicher. I got 18 years on the council. This is my second rodeo, I call it, of controversy. And I will tell you that there's no data center coming this direction. I fought, I will fight. I ain't gonna let it happen on my term. Yes, you folks have concerns. I appreciate that. But remember one thing, 6 of us here, counting Aaron Hall and Mayor Grimm, we can only discuss the information as given to us. Our first council meeting in February, Corey Roofnock came with township trustees. And I'll tell you, he had balls. come to council. He's in the township, not in our village, and explain what was going on. That's the first time we knew what was going on. So you want to thank that man. I had no clue. I even have the mayor of Montpelier, he's my first cousin, Steve Gelski. He called me. He heard rumors of it also in Williams County. So rumors are flying around. And you want to remember something. I tell people, if you want to hear the truth, right here it is. You come in, you ask questions, you get the answers. You may not like the answers I give you, but it's the truth. Have a good night.
Good evening. Thanks for everybody coming. I'm Gary Dominic. I've been on council for 2 years. And I want to start because everybody's probably got the question, why'd you sign the NDA? I've been partnered with Luke Boyers for 15 years. I've done many projects throughout this community and area. I trust him. I really do trust him. He's from this area, number one. I do not believe he has a data center in his mind. He's an investor. He's looking to advance, but I don't think it's with a data center. I know there's been a lot of facts thrown around, and I'm not going to bore you with a bunch, but I'm going to hit on what Carla said. There's only been 2 annexations since I've been on council. Both properties out here east of town. One did sell for $45,000 an acre. 50 acres. The other one sold for $36,842. Nobody was at our annexation meeting, not one. Why now? Speculation. There's a lot of rumors flying around. Have faith in us. Have faith in what we put together in this village with our zoning and planning department. And when you get a chance to be a part of one, stand up and do it. That's what we need. You know, am I for additional development in this community? Most definitely. We want to continue to advance. We want the best for our children. I have 3 in this community, born and raised as well. So I hear you guys all loud and clear. I'm on your side, but have some faith. Trust us. Thank you. Have a good night.
That was all very well spoken with council. And again, I just want to reiterate to everybody that we really don't have a lot of information to act on. Obviously, we are going to act on it when it comes our way. I just want to kind of point out Abby Pennington, Tyson Langendorfer, a few of these folks here that live close proximity to where this data center is going. If I were in their shoes, I would be out in this audience addressing council and myself also. A lot of concern there. So when you own beautiful properties and homes, you want to protect that. So we are going to, we're going to table this for tonight's meeting, but we are going to be discussing moratorium or something such as that on data centers. And so we could sort of put an end to it, at least temporarily. I know that moratoriums can be rescinded and so forth. So, but it's a step forward. Judging from what I'm hearing from council, I think that you have their support. So that was really important. And again, for everybody to show up. If you ever hear of an annexation, show up, because that's equally as important as this meeting right here. Because your voice, you have to be heard. So we're going to continue looking at economic development, what's good for the community, and hopefully there'll be some good things come our way. But at present, this is not one of them.
Okay, so to reiterate, because if you saw the agenda online, it said new business, discussion and possible action regarding direction to the village administrator to prepare draft moratorium legislation on data centers, advanced manufacturing to study the impacts on public health, safety, welfare, municipal resources and infrastructure. And so that's what the mayor is saying is we're not going to move forward with that moratorium language because of this message I received. It is very important not to use the word moratorium. If we get one, we are playing into their hands. The village in German Township will be sued for an injunction immediately if for exclusionary zoning. We need to ask to table the issue and not make any decisions until the village has had the time to seriously study the environmental, societal, and health impacts of undertaking a data center or any industrial specific guidance and points to bring up, such as power generation, interconnection to the grid, redesigning roads, water use, etc. And Dexter and I have started the water study, the water source. So just so everybody knows, Archbold receives water from the Tiffin River. We do not take it from the aquifers, but I also know people who have seen that Tiffin River pretty dry. In the last 2 summers, our reservoirs, even though we're pumping out 50 million gallons a month of water, we've been able to keep them topped off and ready to go, even with these last 2 summers as bad as they were. So we have one of the pieces that we're underway. That's a sure stopgap measure to say until those results come back, we cannot do anything further. Potentially to move forward, I'm going to speculate on it that it would require a reservoir, which is a major undertaking that somebody would have to support, and it's not going to be on utility bills to support any infrastructure improvements. It would have to come from any outside investor that feels that it's necessary to continue to come into this town. But we put this new business on because that is how my job works. These elected officials and the mayor, it takes 4 of the 6 to fire me. It took 4 to 6 to hire me. They give me the direction. I hand them the papers. So while we'd love to see everybody's this many faces it would just be too hard to communicate and to share in this size room. We don't have those facilities right now, but I do think it's imperative that the Abby's group and everybody that's a part of that assists with this message that we receive to help us, because we're going to need help. It takes community support to make things go. If we don't show up the polls to support something, if we don't show up to support this message or this initiative that needs to happen, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to show that we're making efforts towards, bringing the facts forward and saying, no, this just simply can't happen. So I do ask, take that energy, take the emotion, come forward. Let's sit down and help. Invite me to your group if you so wish to have me be a part of that. But I need the support. I don't have an assistant. Everything is on me. Sometimes I pass it off to the Chamber of Commerce. Wendy's pretty good at that. But otherwise, so I think at this time, we'll see what council decides, if they're going to make a motion to table this or whatnot. That's not my call. I'm not your elected official, but I just kind of want to make sure that these 6 members understood that so that we can move forward, but also to ensure that they are hearing your voice, because if that's not what you feel in this room. Sorry, he cannot vote. Yeah, which is fine. He can abstain. Yep. But if this isn't the direction that you wish for this to be, or you think that we still have to do a moratorium, this is where you do need to speak up now, because we can't spin our wheels. There's only so much time in a day, and we all have other obligations. But that's why I'm asking you as this group, if this is a route you wish to take, so that we know the direction and the path forward, because all of you also have things that you can do on a Monday night. So that small group can come and kind of provide updates and really work towards this goal, which I can obviously see in this room is such. Abby. Yep.
One of the sports activities and therapy. I don't want to overstep. I spoke with the Farm Bureau, just trying to help in any way I can. I spoke with the Farm Bureau, and I spoke with someone who is higher up in Columbus, and he's trying to help us because he wants to preserve farmland from data centers as well. And he's been helping communities all over Ohio. So he said in his experience, he's not a lawyer, but he has had counsel, and they said that you should not call it a moratorium because data centers are starting to sue communities that call it a moratorium. They immediately will take you to court and say that they want an injunction if you have to prove why you want them, why you have the moratorium. So he suggested, and it was just a suggestion, that the council table the matter and give them time to study it. And I'm suggesting they take a year at least to study it because there are so many studies that need to be done. And that way this will protect the council members and they won't get sued. Our community will not get sued. And German Township also needs to table this for as long as it takes to find out what all of the health effects, the environmental effects, the societal effects, and it will affect our property values. So that was my suggestion, just based on that conversation. But I don't want to like overstep.
So that's just the latest of what we got today per the conversations that happened. But again, that's not our decision.
Just one more thing. So this is the scary thing. There is a statute in Ohio where a developer can decide that he has a significant economic impact project. I don't have the statute in front of me right at the moment. And he can buy land and the owners of the land can apply to the state and the state can approve this as a significant economic development project. And based on that, the state would have to find that there would be a certain amount of jobs, a certain amount of money. The state can bypass the local village council members, the zoning, and they can just say they approve it, the state approves it. So that's why I'm suggesting that we tighten up our ordinances and make them so strong that they'll never be able to get through our air pollution, our noise ordinances, our light pollution, if the state comes in and says we have to do it because it's a significant economic impact project for the state of Ohio. So I just wanted to tell you about that because that's one thing that's really been bothering me is the state can override us.
I think that's why Ohio is the fourth most state in the nation with 150 of citizens.
Yes, and Boyer's.
California, 300, 250 in Texas, and more than 4 on the list.
And Boyer's said that they were working with Jobs Ohio at our last meeting, if you guys remember that. Well, I looked it up and Jobs Ohio is one of the ones that helps apply these projects to the state. So I'm starting to connect dots and I don't want to defame anybody. I just have my own opinion based on the pieces I've started to put together. And I think we really need to rewrite our ordinances and make them really strong so a data center can't come in.
For selling their souls to POS and now it makes you wonder who else in Columbus.
But I think we always need, like this wonderful gentleman said, keep God first, keep Jesus first. And that's what is so great about this community is you're also Christian and wonderful. And we've been praying together as a group for this community and we'll keep praying and try to keep the peace and just work with logic and facts.
You checked something like and your hand up. Yes, no, that was answered. Okay.
Okay, so on item E, new business, I just need a motion to table that. Chad, seconded by Kevin, Carla, Gary, Mike, Kevin, Aaron, and Chad.
Again, we're tabling it so that we can study the specific guidance and points to bring up, such as power generation, interconnection, the grid, redesigning roads, our resources, and so forth. Like we're not just tabling what was on this agenda. And health impacts, yeah, it's all. Cassie is writing it down. She's a recorder. That's how it works. Yeah.
So, pardon? you know, as long as it's gonna take. I mean, we're gonna obviously get to work and start studying. The zoning process is already, that's already in place. So we're already, working on that issue and we will be paying attention to that, moving that along quickly as we can, so. Is there anybody else that's got anything? We're here for as long as you folks need to address. Anybody else that would like to? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. Nobody's asked any questions about solar. Have you heard anything about solar wanting to come in?
We have not.
So there is a farm right there in this vicinity that is back in 2023. I brought it to the German Township zoning because I saw that it was optioned. 50 some acres were optioned for solar. It was like Big Bear Power LLC, I believe it was. There's a couple of them in the county. If you look up Big Bear Power, you will find those. I brought that to the township zoning inspector at the time, and I think the property on the auditor's page says plastic. So look that up, go to the recorder's page. We do have solar that we also need to be discussing in our zoning code as well, because part of me thinks, how could you be buying land for 50,000 an acre and doing solar on it? I don't think that those numbers work, but our zoning code does have solar as a conditional use in our industrial areas. And Dexter and I have been discussing that one as well. On adding that to the mix. Wind generation, solar. I mean, we don't want Paulding County. I mean, I grew up down that area and it's like a runway at night. So that's another factor that's also being considered right now.
Yes.
So just a question. Totally understand the tabling here. And I'm just curious, just asking, factually, the one lady suggested maybe tabling it for up to a year. I'm just curious, is this a race in the sense that, the longer we have things tabled, if there is something in the works, that gives them an opportunity to slip things in? I'm just wondering kind of how that whole process works. Again, I totally get the tabling, and then I just wonder, how quickly do we have to act to prevent, something being done before our decisions have been made? I don't know if there's a good answer to that.
Well, it's a great question. And like I said, as far as the zoning goes, we need to get that considered as quick as possible and get that in place, just for that same reason. So that's a very good question. I mean, that's obviously, from what I understand, data centers work at a very rapid pace. So when these things come about, it's very quick. So I promise that we're going to get working on that. Yes.
Are you willing to update ordinances, noise pollution, light pollution, water pollution?
Yes, I mean, obviously, we do have zoning in place for those issues, but I do think that they need to be reviewed. Yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody else? Well, again, I want to thank everybody for showing up. It really means a lot. I know that this council takes it to heart. You got a great council here, and we're going to work through this. So I don't think we need to push any panic buttons at this point, but it's obviously in the back of everybody's minds. It's on the back of our minds, and so we'll get to work on it. Thank you very much.
And just one last piece, because he did not come up. The trustees do plan to meet in this room on Monday at 6 p.m., not their normal time of 7:30. So they meet at 7:30 a.m. on, the fourth Monday of the month, and the second Monday of the month at 6 p.m. So they'll be at 6 p.m. next Monday in this room.
If anybody has any questions after the meeting, you're welcome to stick around and ask. Otherwise, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Kevin, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Again, thank you very much.